Welcome back to Lost Artistry's Shop This Set. We are going to have some fun with colored lashes today. So Tate has chosen to get a violet volume lash set with a hint of some spikes. So we're going to be doing a purple base shape all the way along her eyes with an open eye mapping. And we're going to work with just a few tiny little spikes of white along that base. So we're gonna run through some layering techniques that can be used for any lash set. It doesn't have to be just this specific set. And I'm gonna show you how I map out to get a really nice line across the top, not too textured. We're not really going for that look today. We're going for a really nice soft line, almost like the sunset, and then little tiny pieces of texture that you can't see above the lash set, just along the base. So it's really unique. I'm gonna show you how to create those fans. And I'm gonna walk you through how I create these little tiny spikes. And by all means, there's gonna be other videos related to this as well. So don't forget to check those out later in your Shop This Set as well. So today we're gonna be working with a mix of handmade volume and pre-fan volume. The only reason why I'm doing this is because you can create this particular look with either of the two. It is totally up to you. So I like to mix them together just to show that you can create the look with whichever method you want. At Lost Artistry, we believe that volume is volume, so it is up to you if you use pre-mades or handmade fans. But it is important for you to make the spikes. We do not have pre-made fans in a spike form yet. We're working on it. But you're gonna have to create your own spikes for this look. So that's in the tutorial like I've explained below. So how I'm going to tackle this look today, I'm gonna work within layers. I'm going to isolate the top layer first, then I'm gonna pull that out of the way. I'm gonna work on the middle layer second, then I'm gonna pull that one out of the way, and then I'm going to work on my bottom layer last. And this is where I'm gonna be putting those little tiny spikes and only sporadically throughout the eyes. So I could work with 8, 10, 12, you could even put 4 or 16 of these spikes throughout your set. It's totally unique to you, your client's eye width, and the desired look that you're going for. How many of these spikes do you want to see? So by all means, use your creativity here and create a set that is unique for your client. Another thing that can be changed about this set is you can choose any colors you want. If you wanted to go crazy and do 3 different colors like rainbow lashes stacked on top of one another, you could do that too. This is the cool thing about working in layers. There's so many options and the color choice is yours and so is the styling. If you're interested in hearing more about color theory, we actually have this in our volume mastery course as well. We go through a crazy amount of color theory that's fun to check out. Okay, so before I show you all my techniques and we get into the before and after and all that stuff, I just wanna look at Tate's eyes. So we're gonna assess her lashes together. We're gonna check out her natural lash lift, curl, texture, lightness, and all that stuff. So let's have a look. So when I am assessing my client's natural lashes, their eye shape, all that good stuff, I like to have my client look forward. I like to look from the front angle to assess the eyes, but then when I'm looking at our natural lash lift, texture, and all of that stuff, I'm looking from this angle, right from the side, because you can see so much more from this angle than you can see from the front. So let's look at Tate's layers first. So she has a good 3 layers in most sections of the eye, except for the inner corner, she has just 1. So I really have to take that into account for my mapping. And you can definitely adjust mappings as you wish as well. If your client had 2 layers in there, you can change the map. You might want to change up your lengths just a little bit in there. So when we're assessing those inner corners and we realize that she has just 1 layer, my next thing to look at is where does that layer sit? Is it in line with the top layer, which I consider the layer that is closest to me when I work? The angle that I see when I'm looking down on the eye, sitting behind. Is it on the top layer, the middle layer, or the bottom layer? So Tate's is actually on the bottom layer, so if hers was on the top layer, I may have to adjust my lengths ever so slightly. Just know that you can do that with your client as well. And then the outer corner for Tate, she has about 2 layers, and then on the very, very end, she just has 1. So we're really going to change our mapping according to these lashes. This is super common. Most clients have 1 to 2 layers on the inner and outer corner and could have up to 6, 7 layers in the middle. Tate's the ideal client. She has 3 layers. So next, let's look at Tate's natural lashes. So first thing we want to discuss is her texture. Tate has, well, first she has very light natural lashes. She is blonde, although you'd never say from her eyebrows right now. Okay, I had to point out the eyebrows, guys, let's be real. She got her eyebrows laminated and we've been like joking around with her all day about her fashion forward eyebrows, but without makeup on they look so extreme. Anyways, back to the point, back to what we were talking about. Okay, so anyways, her lashes are blonde. So something to note is when our clients have blonde lashes like Tate does, it can be really hard to isolate because there's all these, often, not always, but there's often all these little, really white, almost translucent lashes that seem to find their way into the section. So if you've ever struggled with these lashes, my tip for that is to look from the side and if you have to get a little magnification mirror out, just do it. Try to find those lashes because they can be such a pain for retention and for placement. They really get in the way and I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. I can't even find the connection with the lash, but often that is why. So anyway, it's just a little side note there. She has lighter lashes, but that doesn't mean that they're not strong. They are pretty healthy. There's a lot of finer lashes throughout. So for those, I'm just gonna bump down my diameter or dimension. So I'm not really gonna be working with anything more than a 5D today, as I've said, with my pro fans and my handmade fans. I think most of them will be 3D for the most part. We're not trying to go extra on top of her color, so that's kind of where we're sitting today for dimension and diameter. Next, let's look at her natural lash lift. So she has pretty lifted lashes all the way across the board. I am gonna work with a C curl today instead of a D or anything super dramatic because we do, like I've said, we want a more subtle effect, but with that pop of color. All right, so now let's get into creating our lash set. So when I'm isolating the layers, I've taken an extra iPad. I'm gonna keep the sticky side down and I'm going to put it all the way across Tate's lashes. Then I'm going to take my tweezers and today I'm working with our ultra curved isolation tweezers. I love these for isolation. And then I am going to be doing a mix of handmade and pro-made, as I've said. I'm going to be working with our Grippopotamus Slim Boot Tweezer just because that is my favorite. All right, so what I'm doing now is taking the tip of my isolation tweezer and I'm just going to take out that top layer. This can be a little weird in the beginning, but you can ask your client if they feel comfortable. Doesn't actually hurt them, but it is definitely a strange thing to do the first couple of times. So I'm just gonna walk you through how I'm gonna isolate first, give you a little bit of an example of that. And we're gonna get into our set, and at the end I will put our map in and walk you through exactly what I did there. But as I said before, we're gonna be working with an open eye, and when I'm working with lashes that I don't want any texture with, I'm gonna be working in layers. My bottom layer is going to be my longest. My middle layer is going to be my second longest, and then my top layer is going to be my shortest. So for Tate today, my longest length is gonna be 12 millimeter. And 12 millimeter is only going to sit on that bottom layer, and as I've said, we're doing an open eye mapping. So it's gonna look something like this. We're gonna say our longest lengths sit here. I'm gonna write my bottom layer on the bottom, 12, 11, and 10. And then I'm gonna go down from there, 11, 10, 9, 10, 9, 8, 9, 8, 7. And then as I've said before, we only have a few layers in here, 8, 7, and then 7. And I'm gonna repeat the same thing on the other side, 11, 10, 9, 10, 9, 8, 9, 8, 7. And then we're gonna finish off the end, not with a 7, but instead with an 8 on the very end. So that's what our mapping is going to look like. It's going to be, again, C curl, and I'm just going to show you how I'm going to work with these layers again. So I'm going to take another iPad. After I've completed this layer, I'm going to grab another iPad, and this time I'm going to use the sticky part. I'm going to face it towards myself. So I'm going to go like this, pull those lashes out of the way once they're complete, and then I'm going to do the same thing for that middle layer. This is a nice technique as well for clients whose eyes stay open naturally, because it really forces their eyes to sit closed. I'm going to go all the way along that second layer there, pull those lashes out. And then I'm going to lash these lashes here with my second map, my second length on my map. And then when I move down to the bottom layer, I'm going to take my iPad off again, pull both the layers back that I've already done, and then I'm going to go ahead, take my iPad off, and I'm left with the bottom layer. And then you'll do your very last length, which will be that 12 millimeter on the bottom layer.